Lord be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus told his disciples this story about the kingdom of God. The kingdom is like what happened when a man went away and put his 3 servants in charge of all he owned. The man knew what each servant could do. So he handed 5,000 coins to the first servant, 2,000 to the second, and 1,000 to the third. And then he left the country. As soon as the man had gone, the servant with the 5,000 coins used them to earn 5,000 more. The servant who had 2,000 coins did the same with his money and earned 2,000 more. But the servant with 1,000 coins dug a hole and hid his master's money in the ground. Sometime later, the master of those servants returned. He called them in and asked what they had done with his money. And the servant who had been given 5,000 coins brought them in with 5,000 that he had earned. And he said, "Sir, you gave me 5,000 coins, and I have earned 5,000 more." "Wonderful," the master replied. "You are a good and faithful servant. I left you in charge of only a little, but now I will put you in charge of much more. Come and share in my happiness." Next, a servant who had been given 2,000 coins came in and said, "Sir, you gave me 2,000 coins, and I have earned 2,000 more." "Wonderful," the master replied. "You are a good and faithful servant. I left you in charge of only a little, but now I will put you in charge of much more. Come and share in my happiness." The servant who had been given 1,000 coins then came in and said, "Sir, I know that you are hard to get along with. You harvest what you don't plant and gather crops where you have not scattered seed. I am frightened and went off and hid your money in the ground. Here is every single coin." The master of the servant told him, "You are lazy and good for nothing. You know that I harvest what I don't plant and gather crops where I have not scattered seed. You could have at least put my money in the bank so that I could have earned interest on it." Then the master said, "Now your money will be taken away and given to the servant with 10,000 coins. Everyone who has something will be given more, and they will have much more and more than enough. But everything will be taken from those who don't have anything and don't use it." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
In the translation we use the word coins. In some older translations of the Bible, the word talents is used. That they were given 5,000 talents, or 2,000 talents, or 1,000 talents, in which we get that word of the talents that each and every one of us have. The gifts, or the abilities that is given to us, that somehow or the other, because of maybe our ancestors, depending on who the grandparents that chose us and our parents chose us, that whatever they passed on to us, or what we learned in life, some things come easy for us and some things come more difficult for us. But in due time, Jesus would say, "What do you do with what you got?" But you know, talents are a lot like a plant. You know, it starts out as a seed, and it doesn't look like it's very much. A parent who has a lot of love quite often can see the seed that you were years ago. Even the way you cooed or the way you smiled when you were just a little infant. They were able to see some quality there, that you were different than your brothers and sisters or the neighbors or any other baby they knew. They were able to see something in there. And they kept prodding you, perhaps, in what they thought you might be able to do well. And then also when you first started out in school, you know, it looks like when you look at kindergarten kids, they all look alike. They all look the same. But a teacher begins to see a certain quality in each one, a very individualized kind of a quality, and tries developing it. And it's that way with every grade that you perhaps go through. And now, those of you that are graduating from St. Stanislaus School, already a lot of those talents have been developed. In fact, a lot of what you're going to be is already there. You already know what your own fellow students, who's good at talking. You choose who's going to come up here, not by who has guts or not, but who's able to speak without falling apart totally. You know who can dance. You know who can sing. You know who hides those kind of talents because they're just embarrassed that they don't know it well enough. You're unsure of yourself in many ways at this stage of your life. But again, as time goes on and you go through your high school years, you're going to be finding out what you developed now, that seed began to blossom into a plant. And slowly and gradually, it's going to even be more developed in high school. And whatever happens to you after high school, whether it's going to be getting into the workforce, whether it's going to be getting into the military, whether it's going to be living your life out with what you've learned already, whether it's going on to advanced studies in college, even more so those talents will be developed. To the extent that a day is going to come upon you and say, you know, I'm pretty good at this. I'm good at writing, or I'm good at speaking, or I'm good at mechanics, or I'm good at putting a car together that someone else tore apart, or I'm very good in mathematics, or I'm very good as a research scholar, or perhaps I'm very good in being an astronaut, that I'll be able to study all those subjects, and it goes like this for me as far as math, and all the other subjects that I need to know about aerodynamics. A lot of that talent has to be developed. Hopefully, we have helped you to develop what you need up until this level. But eventually, more and more of that flower is going to come out. We see a lot of the flowers nowadays. They started out with little seeds and they come out. We're happy to see the color. But some flowers are a little slower. And then also, even as the year goes on, we begin to see the harvest that comes. When you're going to be starting your high school years, you're going to be seeing all the different vegetables come out. If you pass by Mr. Kane's garden just down the road, you're beginning to see already a lot of his asparagus coming up. You're able to see some of his radishes are starting and things like that. But as we get into August, maybe we might even see some corn. We'll be seeing tomatoes a little later on in August. And they all come up in their own good time. But that's the beauty about it all. But there's something about talents that I'd like to share with you. And I think there was one little sentence in the gospel today that sort of gave some hint about it. You know, the talents that are given to you are not just for you. They're for the rest of the world. They're for other people. Now, any plant that's worth its salt, any flower, if it really wants to be beautiful, has to pass on its seeds to others. The same thing with all our vegetables. They just don't end with being a vegetable. They just don't end with being a beautiful flower. If we leave them in the ground long enough, they begin to seed again and to pass what they are, the best of what they are, onto the next generation. And that's what we're hoping you would learn as you go on. Your talents, like I say, are developed. They're going to be even more magnificent as the years go on because you're going to have the training to let those talents shine. You're going to get more courage. You're going to be prodded on. And you're going to develop to all that you can be, if you allow it to be. Because you can also not water yourself. You may not feed yourself. You may not allow the good things to happen that will make this about. Which means you have to keep studying. You have to keep doing the very thing you're good at. But eventually, you have to come to seed. And you have to pass it on to someone else. That's the best way to have a talent. One that we can share with somebody else. Your parents have done that. Your teachers have done that. And a lot of other people that have been in your lives. The best of what they are, they have tried to instill in you. Accept that as a gift. And perhaps now as you're graduating from our school here at St. Stan's, you might give thanks to those various groups of people for getting you to this point. Because a lot of times it took them patience. It took a lot of prodding. It took a lot of digging out of the soil to get you going. A lot of fertilizing many times too. A lot of pulling and pushing to get you to develop those talents. But they have a chance now. Use it well. You will be a great pride to all of us that have been part of your career, trying to develop. We will be looking forward to the years ahead and seeing how you develop and how you use these so well. Help us all to be proud of you, your family, your school, anyone that loves you very dearly. And you could be proud of yourself. Then God will be happy. Then God will give you double of what he has given you already. And then our world will be a better world. And everything else will go well. That is the challenge that you have now as you end this part of your growing process, to go on to the next one, to develop those talents. They're gifts. And the gift always has to be opened. So open yours and open it with great joy, with as much joy and happiness as you do a birthday gift. Because it's worthwhile celebrating.